This Explore tab is really the key to finding really good deals, especially if you're restricted to specific dates. By the way, this involves no tricks, no apps, no complicated setups, no VPNs, so don't worry. If you're looking for ways to explore Europe or even the world for super cheap, then you might have found yourself a gem of a video. I just bought myself a 15 euro, so $16 flight, and I realized I should really tell you guys how I do this thing. The sun is also setting, so there's gonna be some interesting lighting. By the way, this involves no tricks, no apps, no complicated setups, no VPNs, so don't worry. We're just going to use Skyscanner and Google Flights, which are just two tools that are available to everyone that you can use to just search up flights. So the first thing I'm gonna do is show you guys how I use the Google Flights Explore option. The second thing I'm going to do is teach you how to use the same option but on a website called Skyscanner. And then I'm going to show you how I found specifically this 15 euro flight that we're taking. I'm going to tell you where we're going and I'm going to tell you why we're doing it. It's like a little fun challenge that we decided to do where we're going to spend 24 hours in one country. So if you're only here for that portion of the video, then just find the correct chapter down here and this way you can skip through the part where I teach you how to find cheap flights. If you're interested in learning how to do this for yourself, then this part's for you. I have my laptop here with me, and so I'm going to be doing this in real time, and I'm gonna put my screen here so that you can listen to me talk, but also see how I'm doing it, so that this way you can just do it yourself on your end of the screen. So if you wanna lower the screen to a little corner of your computer and do this at the same time as me, go for it, because this way you'll learn as you're doing it. There's a few things I wanna mention quickly before we get started. The first is that I fly mainly low-cost airlines, especially here within Europe. It really allows me to explore so much more than I'd be able to afford if I wasn't flying low cost. And so if you are one of those people, if you're practical, if you just want to see the world and you don't really care how you get there, so long as you get there safely, obviously, then low cost options, especially here in Europe, are a great option. If you want to know which low cost I use the most and trust here in Europe, I use Ryanair probably the most, and then Transavia, EasyJet, and Wizz Air. I've never had a problem with any of these airlines other than the fact that you have to buy pretty much everything. So the only thing they give you is like a small backpack. You have to buy carry-ons, you usually have to book seats. So if you're able to go without a few of these things, then you can travel for really, really cheap. The only other issue I've had with them are just normal cancellations that have affected all other airlines that day. So it wasn't like a low cost specific problem. Like I mentioned, low cost don't usually include baggage. So you're either gonna have to be willing to travel backpack only or willing to pay like another $10, $15 to buy yourself the carry-on bags, or a little bit more to buy bags in the hold. Finally, perhaps my two most important disclaimers is that one, I let the prices choose my destinations. I obviously don't fly anywhere I don't want to go, but I definitely let that inform my decision of where to go next. And the second thing is that I also let prices inform my travel dates. This is a very privileged thing to be able to do because I work from home and I can basically just bring my work with me. But these tricks will still work for you if you have very set dates, because you'll see in the Explore options that I use both on Skyscanner and on Google Flights that you can set specific dates for the flights that you want to take. Ideally, you're able to let dates dictate your flights, because this is how you really find 15 euro flights essentially. Finally, I wanted to let you know that sometimes I do search directly on low-cost airlines websites, and that's how I found this 15 euro flight by coincidence. So again, I'm gonna talk about that specifically at the end of the video so that I can walk you through how to do that on Ryanair, for example, if you're interested. This is just so you have like one more option of how to find these flights, but you'll find that the Google Flight option and the Skyscanner option will also detect these little flights from like Ryanair and EasyJet. I can tell that I'm losing light. I keep looking at my side screen and I see it's getting darker. Hopefully I'll have enough light to finish this video. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is just go onto Google Flights, and you're just gonna select the first option that appears, so this Find Cheap Flights. And up here on the top left right corner, you're gonna click Explore. This Explore tab is really the key to finding really good deals, especially if you're restricted to a specific date. It allows you to select your departure location. So in this case, mine is Lisbon, so I'm going to select that. And then how many people. I usually just use one person to search because I like to know the price per person for me and my husband. So selecting two people will give you the total flight price. So if that's what you want to do, do that. But doing one person will just make it easier for you to know how much the price per person is. Then select economy, or if you want to be bougie, don't, but that's not how you're going to find the cheap flights. And then when it says where to, you're going to select anywhere. So search for trips anywhere in the world. So select that. And then the nice part about this is that you can select, again, like I said, when and for how long. So here in this case, for example, it's selected a 1-week trip in the next 6 months, but you can also select a specific month like February, March, April, May, June. You can select that it's a weekend trip or 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever you want. So I'm gonna just do, for the sake of this little video, I'm going to do all months and 1 week in the next 6 months. So let's click done. And as you see here, you can just now go down this list and see all the available flights from your departure and to all these different places. You can use this view, so you can use a side view here, Paris, Barcelona, Milan. And by the way, this is return, okay? These are return prices, so this is insane. Or you can zoom out and zoom into the area of the world that you want to see. So as you can see here, there's a 600 euro flight to Bangkok right there. There is a 589 euro flight to Cape Town. Let's go check out the States. There's usually some good New York deals too. I'm gonna move you guys over here and increase the light a little bit. Not in the darkness anymore. As you can see here, you get all the options, right? So again, let me check out New York, because usually there's really good deals for New York, specifically from Lisbon. So yeah, 451 euros. So it's not the cheapest, but it's actually okay. And I mean, that's pretty much it for Google Flights. It's just the Explore option, and it took me some years to figure this out. So I wanted to share this with you because it's a gem. If we go more to like Europe flights, which is where you're gonna find the really good deals. So if you are in the States and you end up coming to Europe, then this is also a good tool for you, because you can just fly from and to a specific location, in this case, for example, Lisbon, but you can do some exploring in the meantime. I think the cheapest one I'm seeing right now is probably Madeira. So let me just click on that to show you guys what the options would be. So this would be Monday to Sunday, 17th of March to 23rd of March, and it would be 36 euros round trip with Ryanair, a 1 hour and 50-minute flight round trip. So that's a really good deal. That's Google Flights. The next option is very similar. It just doesn't have the map option. And what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna go to skyscanner.com. And Skyscanner has essentially the same tool. Mine, for some reason, is in Portuguese, but it doesn't matter. You'll be able to kind of work around that. So once again, here from you select Lisbon or your location, and then in the to section, you select Explore Everywhere. So mine is in Portuguese, but it says Explore Everywhere. And it's gonna ask you if you want specific dates. So if you're date restricted, then that's where you'd want to specify the dates. Or you can select flexible dates, and this will allow you to choose the month. And so for example, let's say April, and return in April. And again, I only have one adult selected just because it makes it a little bit easier for me to see the prices versus doing it with 2 people already. You can also here select the option of like add nearby airports. Here it would give me the option of flying out of Porto, and you can do the same thing for your destination. I'm not gonna do that. And then you can also select only direct flights if you don't like layovers. So as you can see, Skyscanner is a little bit more limited. I usually tend to use both just because I like to just compare options. Sometimes I can find things on one that I can't on the other. But overall, if I have no idea where I wanna go and I just wanna find like the cheapest deal for a place I haven't visited before and I'm interested in visiting, then Google Flights Explore option is really gonna be where I'm gonna go, because that's going to kind of optimize everything. And I just find that this is where I really unbury these gems of flights. Let's just continue with Skyscanner for a second. So I've selected from Lisbon to everywhere, April, leaving an April return, and I'm gonna click Explore or search in your case. And as you can see, it's very similar to the list view of Google Flights, where it tells you Spain starting at 35. This is very specific to April though, right? So Morocco starting at 39 euros. Portugal, this usually means Porto or Madeira, like the islands. Italy for 59, France. So let's just out of curiosity go for France, 60 euros. And then it gives you the different options. So the cheapest one seems to be, oh, there, Paris. So it'd be Paris for 60 euros. The really good thing about these tools is you don't have to book anything through them, right? So let's say that I'm interested in this Paris flight or the flight that I just saw on Google Explore for Ryanair. I would then take those specific dates and go on the Ryanair site and buy there directly. This is just a really nice option so that you don't have to deal with like an intermediary. You can just talk to the airline directly, and especially like go to the desk at the airport. So I highly recommend that you use these search tools, but then book directly through the airline that it shows you. The prices will be the same. In this case, if I was interested in looking at this 60 euro Paris flight, I would once again confirm the date. So here you just have to see, right? So it has like, okay, let's say the flight on the first would be 31 euros and the return flight, let's say, okay, we could do a week. So that would mean that I'm flying for 90 euros per adult. It's just gonna confirm the airline in this next search phase. So it's just searching all the options for those dates. And it turns out that the cheapest is Vueling.com. And it's to Paris Orly, and then back to Lisbon. In this case, I would just go to the Vueling website, plug in this exact date and return date, and then just buy it with them. And now finally, and before I absolutely run out of daylight, filming this video at the end of the day really was not my best call, but it's okay. I wanted to show you guys how I specifically found the flight that I found for 15 euros. So I love Ryanair. I know that they're really cheap. It's, you know what, like I said, I get to explore all of Europe and I pay pennies for it. So I'm a Ryanair fan. We've also really never had a bad experience. So if you've ever had a bad experience with a specific low-cost airline, leave it in the comments down below just to warn other people about like what to do, what not to do. But specifically with Ryanair, what I like to do, and again, this is in Portuguese, but you can change it. If you want it to be in English, but in euros, I would just set it to Ireland. And then what I do is you can either do the same kind of thing we've been doing, so from Lisbon and then to anywhere, and you just click any destination right here. Or you can just look directly, let me close this. You can just look directly at their sales. So for example, here they have like a Kickstart Summer 25 for starting at 39 euros return. So if you click here, it'll give you a list. And this is how I found our flight to Malta. And so I'm gonna make a video about that, but we're basically spending 24 hours in Malta. It's just a quick, fun little challenge. Okay, guys, I know we're not gonna be able to see that much. Malta is super close to us. It's like a 2-hour, 50-minute flight, something like that. So we know we're going to return. But we decided that instead of, you know, like going out for dinner for the weekend, it's like actually in the middle of the week, but instead of going out for dinner in the middle of the week, we've decided that we're gonna get on a flight and it's at 5 p.m. on next Tuesday. And the return flight is at 7 p.m. on Wednesday. And we have a whole day tour booked for the Wednesday that starts at 9 and finishes at 2. And then that gives us just enough time to go get our stuff, go back to the airport and fly back. I will report back on how crazy this was. I'll tell you if it was worth it or not, if it was fun at all, or just extremely stressful. It'll be like the micro packing video, okay? So we're gonna live, we're gonna learn, we're gonna see. But again, back to how I found this flight. So as you can see here, plan your summer. This is how I found it. So this list of like from 15 euros, this is just one flight, okay? So the 15 euros is one flight, or else that would be insane, guys. Come on, like it's 15 euros for one flight. But yeah, it was just that Malta was the first country that appeared that I hadn't been to yet and I was curious to go to. But for example, if we wanted to go to, let's say Madrid for 17 euros, it just opens it up like this and then you can see it immediately. So for example, in this case, we could go to Madrid and we could leave on Thursday and come back on Saturday. Oh no, leave on Thursday. Let's see, come back on Saturday. Yeah, that's a good amount of time. And that would be 50 euros per person, which is wild. Guys, it's wild. It's like less than a dinner out. Like that's insane. So yeah, and then I would just continue and book. Sometimes it even allows you to like choose the time slot you want. The prices vary as well. As you can see here, it would be 17 euros, so 16.99 to fly out and land at 9 p.m. And then the way back would leave at 7 p.m. So it's okay. You would miss the first day there, but you'd get the full day on the return day. So that's a good deal. I'm gonna end this video by giving you a few very Ryanair specific tips in case you wanna use them to fly around Europe this summer or any coming vacations. The first is that if you want luggage, so if you want anything other than the backpack that they give you, don't buy it immediately when you're buying the flight. That is the most expensive they'll be. I know it feels counterintuitive because the majority of airlines will give you like the best deal if you buy your bag at booking. Ryanair does the opposite, okay? So Ryanair makes it most expensive at booking and then during check-in, they make it cheaper. Why? It's a marketing play because they know that if you're checking in and you already didn't buy anything, then this is like your last chance to buy something. And this is where they try to get you. So this is where they'll be like, oh, if you add a bag now during check-in, then it's only going to be like 15 euros. You're gonna have to trust me on this one. There's no way for you to see it until you do it. But as somebody who flies Ryanair like at least 10 times per year, I'm not kidding, okay? The cheapest you'll get bags is during check-in. This is perhaps my best Ryanair hidden secret tip, which is when you're booking your flight, okay, you have to pay for seat selection. If you don't pay for seat selection, they will break up your party. Okay, so like if me and my husband are flying together, they will purposely put me at the very front of the plane and they'll put him at the very back of the plane. They only allocate the seats to you at check-in, which opens 24 hours before your flight. Here's what you're gonna do. When you're buying your flight, you will not pay for seat selection, okay? You will select, I wanna get randomly allocated seats. It's gonna warn you like, oh, you're gonna get split up, blah, blah. Ignore that, okay? Ignore it. when check-in opens, so exactly 24 hours before your flight. So if your flight's at 7 p.m. the next day, then it's gonna open at 7 p.m. the day before. You wanna be one of the first people to check in. You don't have to like run to the website, just like around 7, 8, make sure you're checking in. Don't leave it to last minute is the point I'm trying to make. When you're checking in, it's once again gonna ask you if you wanna buy seats. You're gonna say no. You're gonna say, I wanna be randomly allocated seats, okay? It's gonna give you a bunch of warnings, it's gonna try to scare you. Ignore it. Then, you're going to get randomly allocated seats. So let's say that he gets 1A and I get 32B, okay? At this point, you're going to add an extra and you're going to select add a seat. So it's gonna give you a little option once you've checked in, once you have your boarding passes, on the app or on the website, it's gonna give you a little option that says, not happy with your seats, change them here. And then what you're gonna do is you're going to take one of you and sit that person next to the other one. So for example, I'm either gonna sit or change my 32B for 2A next to my husband, or I'm gonna change my husband's 1A to 32A to sit next to me. Whichever one's available, usually they both are. Why? Because now you're only paying for one seat. You got randomly allocated one, and you only have to pay for the seat of the person that you're changing, essentially. This saves us so much money because buying seats usually is around 10 euros per person per flight, right? So if you bought a flight for 15 euros and you were to book the 2 seats for 2 people, now all of a sudden your flight's already at 35 euros, and that's just one way. So this is how they try to get you, and this is how you fight back. You're gonna wanna make sure to either print your boarding pass or bring it online on like a little app, because if you try to get them to print the boarding pass at the airport, they're gonna charge you. And the last little thing about Ryanair is that extra legroom seats usually only cost 15 euros. So if you're wanting to buy seats and you wanna buy that extra legroom, just get the extra legroom seats. They're just 15 euros. We think it's very worth it. My husband's like 2 meters tall, translated to feet, I don't know, he's tall. And so usually his legs like touch the seat in front of him. So if it's a longer flight, like anything longer than 3 hours, we'll usually just splurge and get the 15 euro extra legroom. The cool thing is sometimes one of us will get randomly allocated extra legroom seat, because they do randomly allocate those as well. So we only have to switch one of us to be sitting next to the other person in the extra legroom. And again, we only have to pay for one of the extra legroom places. So again, great tips, guys. I'm giving you gems. I've reached the very end of the capabilities of filming in this room before it goes absolutely dark. If you've stayed this long, thank you so much for being here. Please don't forget to subscribe and give this video a like. Thank you for dealing with the color changes. Let me know in the comments below which was your favorite trick and if you're gonna be using any of these tips in your next flight. And with that, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.